Looking to buy a rental property in Orlando? Well, welcome to this video. We're going to talk about exactly that. Is it a good time to buy in this market? Is Orlando even worth moving your money to? Or if you're a brand new investor, is it even worth getting into it in this market? Well, I'm going to answer all those questions right now. What's up everyone, my name is Cameron Hodge. On this channel I talk about making the move to and living in Orlando, Florida, and even with your money, if that's what you're looking to do here in this market. I drop videos for you every single week and I absolutely love it. But what I love even more, being a licensed real estate agent in Florida, is helping you with your real estate decisions and helping you in Orlando, Florida. So this number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me. Call me, text me, email me. It doesn't matter how you reach out to me. I'm here to help you in Orlando, Florida. So rental properties in Orlando, does it make sense? Should you do it? Look, there's a lot of questions, and recently I've had several people reach out to me regarding Airbnb, short-term rentals, or even just maybe they have a rental property in especially like California and they want to move their money to Florida because they feel it's just a better opportunity than what they've seen in other states. And I totally understand that, and I'm here to help you through that process. And I even got coffee to go through that. So rental properties in Orlando. Let's start with the Orlando market in general. So I am blessed to be licensed in 2 different states. Obviously I'm licensed in Florida as my main focus. That is where I'm here physically to help you. But at the same time, I'm also licensed in California, and I do have that past real estate team that I did before I made the move out here years ago to Florida. But how does Orlando's housing market shape up to a lot of those across the country? Because obviously I have partners literally in every single state in the country, and I love to be involved in how things are playing out because these are crazy times, I'm telling you. Orlando, generally, we have seen obviously a small price reduction in most homes. That being said, doesn't mean they're going below asking, they're probably going for asking price. Inventory is still a little bit tighter compared to a lot of other markets. But one thing Orlando has that a lot of others don't is they have more new construction opportunities. Like you look at like San Diego where I was before, they have like no new construction that are going on except townhomes and condos. So Orlando has a lot going for it. And I'm sure eventually that will play out to eventually we will have enough inventory to where, you know, that might play itself out and not be such a concern. But is Florida and Orlando a good market to move your money to for a rental? It can be. And it's a tough question to answer right off the bat. Obviously, everyone's situation is different. Depends how much money you're moving. What do you invest in? What are you trying to do? And things like that. So first, I'm going to talk about, you know, seasoned investors and stuff like that. And then I'll jump into any newbies who are looking to get into investing in general. So seasoned investors. So obviously, if you don't know too much about Florida, maybe you own a property in a different state or multiple properties, does not matter. And you're looking to move the money to Florida. First off, what I'm surprised is not many people don't know about this, especially if you're a smaller time, you know, investor and you're looking to kind of liquidate and then move your assets to Florida, is you can do what's called a 1031 exchange. Now, a 1031 exchange can be a complicated process for those who don't know how to do it, but I've helped a couple clients do it. And what it is literally is, so when you sell an investment property, if you haven't done already, you understand that you have to pay tax, and it is a massive tax burden, especially under this current administration. But what a 1031 exchange does is it allows you to defer taxes. So instead of paying those taxes, you say, hey government, I will pay those taxes eventually. But what the government says, okay, that's great, you can defer those taxes, but what I want you to do is when you sell that, let's say it's a 3-bed, 2-bath home, right, in California. When you sell that home, you need to buy an exact home close to that or something bigger, right? You can't go lower, you can't do whatever. Like there's certain, like it gets a little more complicated than that, but that's just the general gist of it, okay? And obviously when moving to Orlando, a lot of people are like, oh, the home prices are different. That's okay. It might just mean instead of buying 1 home, now you get to buy 2 or 3 or 4, okay? It's telling you how much that home is in California. So that's what it allows you to do. And that's one thing I love to help you as a client do is you gotta keep more money in your pocket. Okay, the last thing anyone needs is to have more money leave their pocket. Trust me, I think we get enough tax burden. I don't care how much you make, like you get plenty of taxes taken from you. Let's find a way to keep that in your pocket. So I've definitely assembled a team that allows you to do that, and also connections here to kind of help you find properties quickly to make sure that you get to fill that timeline, because there is a small window of time to make those 1031 exchanges happen. It can be a complicated process, so making sure you have a team not only where the property was to where your new properties are going to be is very, very important. Just like relocation, but a little more complicated because a lot of moving hands in this process, because you will have to hire a third-party 1031 exchange company, and I do have recommendations I can give you to do that process. Now, What asset classes make sense in Orlando? It really depends. How much money you're putting down? What are you trying to do with your goals? Obviously, I think if you're a seasoned investor, you understand this, but kind of transitioning to my new investors, this is definitely more towards you probably. But so one thing I've seen doing really well here in Orlando and Florida in general is like lease options, okay? So for a lot of us who maybe aren't in the commercial space and we're kind of still in the residential community, obviously Orlando has its multifamily properties, the 2 to 4 unit properties, and we have those options. Multifamily can be a great space if you know what you're doing, but obviously that obvious one being set aside, multifamily can do well here, but obviously it depends on how much return you're trying to get. Now, lease options, cool one, not many people know about it. People who do know about it, most of them think it's like scammy and trying to rip people off. That's completely not true. Lease options is when you take, let's say, a single family home, let's say it's a starter home, right? I'd say it's you're about 30% below market value. The home needs some work, needs some updating. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, maybe a 1-car garage. Heck, maybe it has no garage, okay? And you buy the home, and let's say rent for that home would be about $2,000 a month, all right? Because let's say it's outside Orlando, it's heading into Polk County. Let's say it's $2,000 a month, and normally you would rent it for $2,000 a month. But under lease option, normally you will do, let's say, $2,100 a month or $2,200 a month, a little bit extra. Because what you're doing is, let's say a tenant's like, hey, I want to rent this home. You're like, great, I'm doing what's called a lease option. What it is, normally they would give you first and last month's rent, potentially for a security deposit. Well, in this case, you're going to do a lease option payment that's non-refundable. So let's say it's $2,000 to $10,000. I see a big range in there. And what it does is that legally, under a legal contract, that tenant is saying, hey, here's my money. I know I can't get it back no matter what. I am securing the right to buy this property at X price in 2, 3, 5 years, right? And it can be a great service when done properly, because people like, especially myself, when you get into business, it takes 2 years of income to qualify. Well, doing this option allows you to get into a home that you want to buy anyways, but even though the bank says you can't afford it, well, now you're allowing that person, you're helping them with their credit, making sure they're on time to, at the end of the day, now you're in 2 to 5 years, you're selling that property at a set price. But let's say that extra $200 a month above market rent that you're charging them is actually reducing that purchase price, much like a mortgage would. So cool option. I love that one. I think it can do really well if you buy it for the right home at the right price. Now, moving forward from that, obviously Airbnb, that's another great one. A lot of people love doing Airbnb here in Orlando. I will tell you, you have to make sure you be careful with it, because every county has its rules. The city has its rules. You got to pay for permits to make sure you have a license. It gets pretty complicated. And personally, I love Airbnb. That's how I got started investing in Arizona. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do love, well, okay, I'm a huge fan, but I think for most people, especially if you're newer and you don't know what you're doing, be careful. It might not be the best asset class to get into, because there are a lot of moving parts. Hospitality industry, you have to make sure you're doing it the right way in the right area. Now, I have a whole team to help people with short-term rentals, manage it and all that stuff. I have recommendations and all that stuff, because I know it is a huge part with my clients who are investing out here. But understand that if you're new, I don't know if I recommend it off the gate, because it can be definitely a complicated process, but there are ways to get into it without getting fully into it. Now, commercial properties, obviously, let's say you're someone who commercial can do really well here in Orlando, and that is a whole side that I'm really pushing, getting new connections and learning more about, because I love commercial. While I'm not a commercial real estate agent, I have built great relationships with lenders and agents who do nothing but commercial properties, because I think for a lot of you who might own like 5 to 10 properties and you want to move that into a commercial, Florida can be a great place to do it, right? So again, that can do really well here in Florida, because more people are moving here, and it is a hot ticket. And hey, a lot of people have to go into rentals, and those big properties are just prime ticket to merely make some good return on your money. Now, new investors, is Orlando a great place for a new investor? It can be, okay? Orlando, while it's not cheap anymore, right? Rents, trying to get a return on your money can be hard. I just recently did a video on house hacking, which is you live in part of your property and rent out the other part, whether it be a 2 to 4 unit property or a single family home with an ADU or a granny flat or something, right? I think that's a great way to get into investing, right? I know, hey, my first property, I raised capital to get from friends and family to get the 20% down and paid them back from my income over the 2 years on that property. So hey, there are ways to kind of get into properties, but understand Orlando, it's a tight market if you're a new investor. Now, I've had conversations with those who understand Airbnbs, and you have the money, can be a great market to get into short-term rentals. I've mentioned lease options previously, right? Just did that right now. Lease options can be a great way to get into a property. You're getting a little bit more in your rent. You're getting a non-refundable. I do recommendations for Orlando. So obviously, hurricane just ran through. Like, there are things that can happen in Orlando that can really affect you, especially as a new landlord. My recommendation is, regardless of how you're getting your 20% down on the property, or if you're living there, it could be as low as VA 0 down, or even a 3.5% down FHA loan. Right? That's why I love the house hacking option, because it gives you a short answer. But if you're not looking to live here, 20% down, 20 to 25% down. And my recommendations for every roof, right? Every unit you're buying, you put at least 5,000 to 10,000 set aside. So if you're looking to get into Orlando market, I really recommend you try and get to that point, right? Sure, you can take the risk, but that's my recommendation, because it's kind of like a sleep well at night account, to where if something happens on that property, that cash is already sitting there, right? Now, obviously, we're buying this property with cash flowing. I have calculators and tools and resources that school you up faster than probably I did just learning from scratch and investing. But understand that, you have to make sure you choose right. Orlando, not the cheapest market, so make sure you take that with a grain of salt, that you probably are gonna have to need more money to get into the properties here in Orlando. But hey, Florida, I think it has massive opportunity, especially between Tampa and Orlando. I really think there's massive opportunity as an investor, especially if you're brand new and you're trying to look to heads, like maybe some appreciation gains, but also making sure you're buying properties that need work. Like, there's just a lot of opportunity here. So I think it can be a great opportunity. But, overall, is Orlando a great place to invest? I think so. With the right plan, the right goals, you can definitely get great properties here in Orlando. You just have to do it the right way and be smart about it, and realize that it might not be a short-term play, it might be a long-term play. Now, if you're looking to flip properties, hey, there's plenty of homes that need work out here. So that's another great opportunity as well. If you're looking to flip homes and kind of get into that industry, trust me, every day I get to see properties that are just destroyed that really could use a fine touch, being brought back up to market value. So hope you have value in this video. Hope we give you some insight on investing in Orlando. And like I said, this number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me. I love investing. So reach out to me, call, text, email, does not matter. Let's help you either bring your money here or create that wealth for you in your future here in Orlando. And again, I'll see you in the next video.